All right, so now I want to elevate the curb lines like I mentioned. And I started going through that and I realized that I don't have really good data to do that. Now we did, you know, create the 2D information, which gave us the linear length of these curb lines and everything, which was good. But when I take a deeper look at this line, you'll notice that there's a bunch of tiny little segments in here. And also these lines are broken and it, by looking at that and knowing that is that when I do elevate these lines or try to elevate these lines, it actually creates more work than I want to. So I find it's going to be actually easier to just draw in new 3D curb line. Okay. So we're going to use the lines that we have here basically as a guide, but we're going to draw in and retrace this line work, and it's going to give us better line geometry, which will give us a better surface, which is going to help us with better volumes. So again, just trying to show you the best practice. So what I would do, like in a case, if you look at that line and you can see that each one of these, if I right click and go to edit, see how it's got all these little points. Well, those are all horizontal vertices. And there is some cleanup tools that I can clean up, but I really want a true arc in here. And by having a true arc, I can elevate the beginning of the arc and the end of the arc, and I don't have to deal with everything in between. So I want to go about it a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to CAD, and we're just going to draw in some line strings, and we're going to use these elevations here to elevate this information. So I could call it finish ground surface break lines, but I'm going to call it finish ground dash curb line. Okay, and we'll use this later as well. So I'm just going to call it curb line. I could put it on this break line layer. That would be fine. But I think what I'll do, just so again I'm thinking ahead and down the road, is I think I'll make a new layer. And that new layer, I'm going to go ahead and new. I got two layers. I'm actually going to make two of them here. So the first one is going to be TO dash curbing. And I'm going to go dash 1B dash, and I'm just going to put a 3D on it. All right. So that's going to be a 3D curb. And then this one here, I'm going to do the same thing. TO dash curbing dash 1A dash 3D. Okay. And actually I'm going to go back and change that. I want that to be underscore. Again, following my layering convention, naming convention that I have. Again, we're going to use this down the road. So I'm going to make a color here. For this, let's go ahead and we want to, not red, we want to use something different. So let's go ahead and just make all this curb line blue for both. We'll make them both blue. If I want to do them both, I can shift and hold both, and now I can come in here and I can set them both to 25, protect them both, and then I'm going to create a new group. Even though it's proposed, I'm going to call it proposed 3D. All right. That way I can differentiate between my proposed and my 3D information. Okay. And I could probably put this under there as well. And the break line under there as well. So this finish ground break line, let's put that under 3D. Okay. So I've got that layer 1B 3D. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to, click OK. And now it's going to ask me for a coordinate. And if I start here as my starting point, because I had that auto increment turned on, it automatically grabbed that elevation of 0, right? So if I cancel, you can see it's got a question mark. So what I want that to be is I want that to be 22.54. and I'm going to hit save. So now I've elevated that line. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say add after last segment. So I'm adding a new point. I want to toggle this so that it doesn't automatically pick up the elevation. So I'm going to come in here and pick this point, and it's going to prompt me for an elevation. So that elevation is going to be 22.52, and I'm going to save that one. So now we're actually coming into an arc. All right, so we're going to have an arc here and an arc here. So what I'm going to do, or an arc and then another arc. So now I was drawing a straight line. Now I'm going to draw a curved segment. So I can do a smooth curve or an arc. I really don't know the radius because this isn't a true arc. So I'm just going to do a smooth curve. And I'm going to pick this point here as my first point or my midpoint of my curve. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick this point. So the elevation in this case, I don't know it. So I'm just going to use a question mark to set that elevation to basically just nothing, right? It's undefined. It'll transition through to this point over here. So now when I pick this point and I put 22.40 for the elevation, you can see that now it created that arc through there. And I'm still in a smooth curve, so I'm going to snap anywhere, somewhere in the middle here, kind of give it a midpoint. And then same thing here, I don't know it, I'm going to put a question mark and save it. And then I'm going to come over here and we'll grab the endpoint of this arc right about there. And that's 22.27. I'm going to save that. And now I'm going to go back to straight. And I'm going to pick this point here. And that point there is going to be 22.24. So by doing that, I've created this 3D line. And now you can see that I've got that 3D line and it's properly elevated based off of those spot elevations. Okay. So just like I did with my break lines, I've got to go through under takeoff, under categorize, under unknown. We're going to find that new layer that I created. So I'm going to pick both of these now. And I'm going to assign them to design. I'm going to close. And now watch what happens when I build the surfaces. I get an error warning, sorry. And now you can see that it's actually giving me some elevations on this curve. And it's detailed up that area in there, right? So now I've got a little bit better information. I could do the same thing. I got to put the sidewalk in. Again, the level of detail is going to depend on how much, quickly you want to do a quick takeoff or if you want a little bit more detail. In this case, I kind of want to detail it out just to show you these tools to get you more comfortable and show you the power of Business Center so to show you how you can make get a better estimate, right? It may not be needed for what you're doing, and if it's not, then don't worry about it. But I want to kind of go through and do this. Now, again, I'm not going to spend all the time having you watch me elevate the rest of these. I'm just going to repeat what I did here for this information over here, making sure that I snap to this contour line. So anywhere that the curb crosses the contour line, you want to make sure you put in an elevation point. Over in here, I want to put in an elevation point. So I may come back and show you in another video actually how you can do that. So wherever there's a contour that touches that curb line, you want to make sure you have an elevation point there. And then you're going to put one in here, right? Because we know that this isn't accurate through here. So we want to detail it up. All right, so I'm going to go through and I'm going to elevate the rest of this, and then I'll come back again and we'll take a look at what I did.